Hey, Rainbow here, and welcome to my channel. Today, I'm probably not going to make a lot of people happy, but I think others are going to think a little bit and go, you know what, maybe there's something to this, all right? This isn't an adventure bike. This is the Pikes Peak version, and there's one of the reasons why I converted over to this from the Multistrada V4 S was because I really wasn't taking it off-road and I wanted something more street-oriented. So let's talk about adventure bikes and really how big they're getting. How big do they really need to be? And how practical are they? Let's do it. You see, these adventure bikes, and you could say I'm somewhat of a hypocrite because when I had the V4S, did I take it off-road? Yeah, a little bit off-road. I did some like minor trails. I did some stuff where there were no trails through the woods, and it was pretty good. But one of the things that this is the first thing I'm going to talk about with these bikes. They are extremely heavy. And the population that typically, not always, could afford these kind of bikes because they're also very expensive, and we'll get to that, are people that maybe are a little further along in life, such as myself. And you know what? I'm no spring chicken. I'm probably not as strong as I used to be. I don't think I could be because things start to change. Do I really want to be out on a trail by myself, drop this bike, or a real adventure bike, this one isn't, and try to pick it up by myself? The answer is no. Is anyone willing to do that? You know, a high percentage of us have herniated discs, and some of you guys don't even know that you have it. This came to light and it really made me understand things. I'm like, wow, with my back being the way it is now, how the hell would I pick up this bike? Now, I was able to pick it up before when I dropped it, and it wasn't easy. These are really heavy bikes. So why are these bikes so heavy? It just seems like they're making the motorcycles bigger and heavier and bigger, and then they want a bigger engine. Bigger engine means heavier bike, heavier bike. It's like it never is going to stop, okay? When you think about what was the original like BMW, I think it was R80 GS. Now they're at the R800, or now they're at the R1300 GS for BMW. The size of these bikes are just getting really just too cumbersome. And even on some of the trails, they're just too wide. All right. Now let's look at another part of this. Cost. How about the cost factor? These bikes are getting extremely expensive. They're heavy and they're expensive. Do you really want to drop a motorcycle that you just paid $22,000, $25,000, $30,000, $32,000, $35,000? Because what's going to happen, sometimes just the weight of the motorcycle itself is going to cause a problem. It's going to cause things to get damaged, okay? And this is kind of the whole direction I'm going in. I think that a lot of adventure bikes, they're just getting too big. And I started thinking about this a couple of years ago. I said, you know what? If I want something to take on the road, I'm going to get a road bike. If I want something off-road, I'm going to take an off-road bike, maybe a much smaller bike. But when you start getting into the BMW R1250, R1300 GS series, especially when you get to the adventure, the Multistrada V4 Rally, the V4S, then you start getting into the super adventure with KTM, that's 1290. These are very heavy bikes, often going over, well over 600 pounds. That's a lot of weight, and they're expensive. So weight, difficult to pick up, especially if you're on a trail by yourself. Now, you only want to ride when you're with other people so they can help you. I'm sure many of you, if not most of you, just like me, are more than capable of picking up a bike. But you know what? It's not easy. It starts sliding out from underneath you. It's sliding. It's not easy. Not everyone is Brett Cax, okay? Not everyone is him. He teaches a lot, and he takes a lot of people from zero to really good. But these are the few and far between. So why do we really need this big of a bike? Well, often what I hear is, well, when we're on the road, we want a more comfortable bike. Well, then just stay on the road. If I'm going to go off-road, I want to be on a dirt bike or really lightweight enduro so that if I wipe out, it's inexpensive and I can pick it up if I drop the bike. I can pick it up a lot easier. So we keep just putting more and more money into these big adventure bikes. And you know, I had an experience with a GS Adventure, and I got to a light and there was a dip in the road, so I went to go put my foot down. It wasn't where I thought it was going to hit, and the bike started going right after I just filled it up and just put 7 gallons of fuel in this tank. That's a lot of weight. So I stopped the bike from falling over. I mean, I was really lucky because by the time I hit, I was already starting to, you know, reposition my body to kind of catch it. But I was just thinking, what the hell would I do there by myself trying to pick up this massive GS Adventure with a full gas tank? So this is kind of what I'm getting at. It just seems like it comes down to one thing: marketing. Marketing is sort of getting out of hand. It makes us want to feel as though we need more and more and more and more power. And think about these adventure bikes. Again, this one isn't, all right? When you put them into enduro mode, what does the engine do when the engine mapping? It reduces the power because it already knows that it has so much power for the street that you don't really need it on enduro mode when you're taking it off-road. So even the engine mapping scales it back and pulls off 30, 40, 50, 60 horsepower just right off the bike because it knows that you don't need that kind of power. And here's the other thing. Yeah, they're fun. This is fun. It's fun on the highway. It goes way faster than I can legally go. I've taken it on the track before, but then I stopped taking it to the track because I'm like, do I really want to have a $30,000 bike on the track that's tall like this? You know, so buy a bike for the road and then buy a separate one. And if you absolutely have to do both because you're going to do some adventure riding with a combination, I don't really think it's necessary to start getting these really big, heavy bikes. To me, it's just unnecessary. You know, going back to picking up the bike, one of the things I think about is, you ever watch MotoGP? You have these very fit, young, 20-something-year-old kids that drop a MotoGP bike that weighs next to nothing, and they often struggle just picking it up. Well, imagine something that weighs twice as much and you're trying to pick it up and maybe you're twice as old. Again, I'm not saying that no one's capable. A lot of us are capable, and I've always been capable of doing it. And I'll get there again with my back as I strengthen it and I get myself back. But it just got me thinking, why are we buying all of these motorcycles with all of this power when we really can't use it? Oh, sure, we can pass quicker. Yeah, well, just be careful. So the adventures, these really big adventure bikes, you know, the massive Africa Twins, all of these big, which I think what's an 1100cc, the Africa Twin, all of these motorcycles are just massive in size and they weigh so much and they're so expensive. I dropped my V4S in my driveway. It ended up it just fell over. I was on it and I got off without the kickstand, my mistake. It fell over, smashed the windscreen, and it ended up breaking the fairing stay that sits on top near the triple clamp, like just below it. It broke. There's so much weight, it's easier, and everything here is bolted on. You have expensive mirrors, you have lights in the mirrors, you have radar, you have all kind of things on these bikes, and even when you put down guards, they still risk getting damaged. So this is why I'm saying I think we've kind of reached our limitations with these super adventures, these big adventure bikes, and it might be time for maybe to start dialing back and being more realistic. Again, if you want to go off-road and be on the road, find that limitation. But most of the time, I'm on the highway. If I want to take something like this down a dirt road, that's not a problem. Any motorcycle will go down a dirt road. That's easy. Most dirt roads, gravel roads, they're in good shape. If you want to do trails, I'm never going to take this on a trail. It's a street bike with 17-inch tires. I get that, but I don't need to go to something that's so damn big. I mean, so big and weighs so much that it's harder to handle. It's not fitting through those small little areas. It's difficult to pick up. And if you drop it, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Do you want to spend that kind of money and then have it all jazzed up with scratches and scrapes on it? You know what I mean? Because when you're off-road, it's not like you're landing on grass all the time. There's tree stumps, there's rocks, there's gravel, and you're not always going to be protected just because you put some engine guards on there. All right, so this is food for thought. These are some of the reasons probably why you shouldn't get a big adventure. I think most people picture themselves going off-road and going down trails, but I believe that that's a really small percentage of the people. And I also believe one other thing. Not only is it a small percentage of the people, but it doesn't happen as often, because most of the time we buy motorcycles and we're on the road. We're on pavement going from point A to point B, and for all those guys that have the skill level to take something really big like a KTM Super Adventure 1290 and rip it around like it's a toy, you are talented. You are the few and far between. You're not the normal. So rethink the size of the bike that you actually need and what you're actually going to use it for. All right? Food for thought. Told you I wasn't going to make a lot of friends on this one. This is Rainbow. Please like, please subscribe. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and have a good day. Bye-bye.